Mrs. Parker owned a rural residence where she encountered a bee issue. Hiring Adam Clay, a professional beekeeper, she tasked him with managing the infestation and relocating the bees to their hives. Clay diligently worked each day, finding satisfaction in his role. Grateful for his assistance, Mrs. Parker extended an invitation for dinner that evening, which Clay accepted without interrupting his duties. While Mrs. Parker retreated indoors to tend to her computer, she encountered a distressing message warning of potential data loss and providing a support number. Unbeknownst to her, this call connected her with a fraudulent operation led by Garnett, who posed as a technical support representative. Preying on Mrs. Parker's lack of technical proficiency, Garnett guided her to download software, granting unauthorized access to her files and financial information. Targeting her substantial account balance, Garnett manipulated her system to add funds before feigning an error and urging her to return the excess amount, leveraging threats of data loss to coerce compliance. Desperate to resolve her computer issues, Mrs. Parker unwittingly facilitated her own victimization. Unaware of these events, Clay arrived at Mrs. Parker's home later that evening bearing a gift of honey. However, upon receiving no response at the door, he entered to discover a disquieting scene. Amidst the eerie atmosphere punctuated by a blaring smoke alarm, Clay stumbled upon evidence of a violent altercation, only to be confronted by Verona, Mrs. Parker's daughter, who mistook him for a culprit. Identifying herself as an FBI agent, Verona apprehended Clay as a primary suspect in her mother's apparent demise, spurred by the discovery of drained bank accounts. Despite Clay's assertions of innocence and explanation of his innocuous presence, Verona remained skeptical, leading to Clay's arrest and further investigation into the grim circumstances surrounding Mrs. Parker's fate. The following day, authorities released Clay, informing Verona that they found no evidence of foul play, attributing her mother's death to suicide. Verona extended her apologies to Clay, acknowledging his friendship with her mother during her absence and noting the resemblance he bore to her late brother, which endeared him to Mrs. Parker. Expressing remorse for her past neglect of her mother, Verona confided in Clay about learning of the scam targeting her mother. Clay likened such exploitation of the elderly to preying on children, eliciting Verona's determination to apprehend the culprits at any cost. Excusing himself to tend to his beekeeping duties, Clay contacted his former colleague, Server, seeking assistance in tracking down the elusive scammers. After obtaining crucial information from Server, Clay arrived at the scammers' location armed with gasoline containers. Confronting guards at the entrance, Clay declared his intent to expose the den of thieves and swiftly subdue them. Inside, Clay warned the staff of an impending fire and demanded their repentance for preying on the vulnerable. When they mocked him, Clay resorted to forceful measures, compelling compliance. As Clay prepared to set the room ablaze, Garnett confronted him, questioning his actions. Clay asserted his mission to avenge the victims and protect the vulnerable, likening it to safeguarding a hive. Garnett's attempts to retaliate were futile as Clay overpowered his men and rigged the room to explode. Fleeing the scene, Clay left Garnett to face the consequences. Meanwhile, Derek Danforth, the company owner, sought assistance from his associate Wallace Westwild upon learning of the destruction, only to be rebuffed. Determined to apprehend the perpetrator, Derek instructed Garnett to assemble a team for the task. Verona, alerted by her bureau partner Wiley, rushed to the scene, demanding a thorough investigation into the arson, setting the stage for a pursuit of justice. Simultaneously, Clay attended to his beekeeping duties when Garnett and his cohorts tracked him to Mrs. Parker's residence. Observing Clay's departure, they pursued him to his hive site and initiated an assault, only to be met with Clay's formidable defense. Stealthily dispatching Garnett's men with lethal precision, Clay incapacitated them one by one using various improvised weapons. As Garnett witnessed the demise of his associates, panic set in. Clay confronted him, subjecting him to a brutal punishment by severing 4 of his fingers with a saw machine before leaving him incapacitated. At a gas station, Clay found himself under attack by the new Beekeeper, who rammed her truck into his vehicle and opened fire recklessly. Despite her aggression, Clay managed to disarm her and engage in a physical altercation. In a desperate bid for survival, the Beekeeper activated a mounted machine gun on her truck, causing chaos. Clay subdued her with a jar of honey before ultimately resorting to lethal force, setting her ablaze with a lighter. Taking her index finger as proof of her demise, Clay ensured the elimination of the new threat. In response to the escalating situation, Wallace assembled a team of elite military operatives and briefed them on the rogue Beekeeper threat. Meanwhile, Clay infiltrated the Beekeeper's base, accessing vital data and arming himself for the impending confrontation. Verona and Wiley briefed Deputy Director Prigg of the FBI on their investigation. Despite Prigg's admonition to focus solely on tangible evidence, they shared intelligence on Clay's next target, the 9-Star United building, home to another call center. With Prigg's backing, the FBI prepared to confront the threat, only to encounter resistance from Pettis and his Special Forces team. Acting on orders to obstruct federal involvement, Clay proposed a bold approach to gain entry into the call center, advocating for the evacuation of its workers. When confronted by authorities, he resorted to subduing them and commandeering one as a hostage to facilitate entry. Inside, Pettis, acting on behalf of Derek, ordered the shutdown of operations, prompting a call from the manager to Derek for clarification. Derek asserted his authority over Pettis, directing him and his team to depart. However, Clay infiltrated their ranks unnoticed and confronted the call center leader, demanding cessation of their activities. As Pettis and his men returned, a firefight ensued, during which Clay displayed remarkable agility, neutralizing threats and engaging in hand-to-hand combat with Pettis. Returning to the leader, Clay resorted to brutal interrogation tactics, seeking information on the embezzlement of $2 million from Mrs. Parker's foundation, which had led to her tragic demise. Threatening further torment, Clay extracted crucial details from the leader, who revealed the identities of the masterminds deemed untouchable. Despite Clay's presumed righteousness, Verona remained steadfast in upholding the law. Deputy Director Prigg informed Verona of Danforth Enterprises' implication in the criminal chain, with Clay targeting its defective offspring, Derek, the president's son. Prigg urged secrecy while mobilizing the full force of the FBI against Clay. Clay infiltrated the beach house, incapacitating a guard and blending in with the staff. Planting a bomb in his truck, he prepared for his mission. In the library, Jessica encountered Derek, who was indulging in drugs. Verona spotted Clay outside, alerting Lazarus and his men to pursue him. Despite Clay's surrender, Lazarus remained determined to eliminate him. With Wallace's tacit approval, Lazarus prepared to execute Clay, but Clay triggered an explosion, thwarting their attempt. Inside the building, Clay continued his assault, neutralizing guards and agents. Amidst a heated argument between Jessica and Derek over the FBI's accusations, Derek confessed to manipulating CIA resources for Jessica's electoral success. Derek's revelation laid bare the extent of their complicity in illicit activities, exacerbating tensions between mother and son. As tensions reached a climax, Derek proclaimed his instrumental role in Jessica's electoral victory, causing Jessica to grapple with the weight of their deception. Determined to come clean, Jessica resolved to confess their misdeeds to Clay and the public. Meanwhile, Clay confronted Lazarus in a fierce battle, ultimately emerging victorious. Pressing on towards the president's room, Clay encountered Wallace, who urged him to reconsider his path and return home to aid his community. Dismissing Wallace's pleas, Clay resorted to violence, incapacitating him to continue his mission. Inside the room, Derek's aggression escalated, resulting in the fatal shooting of Prigg just before an explosion breached the door. Clay intervened just in time to witness Derek holding Jessica at gunpoint. Verona and Wiley rushed to the scene, urging Clay to stand down. Clay, however, challenged Verona to choose between adherence to the law and the pursuit of justice. In a tense standoff, Derek attempted to pull the trigger, but Clay preempted him, shooting Derek and making his escape through the window. Verona hesitated to apprehend Clay, torn between duty and empathy, ultimately opting to let him go. As Clay vanished into the waters, Verona bid him a silent farewell, while Clay retrieved a hidden bag near the shore, preparing for his next move. With a decisive plunge into the depths, Clay disappeared, leaving behind a trail of uncertainty and unresolved justice. Thank you for watching. You can check out these other recaps on the channel. Until next time, stay safe.